The book of Ezekiel is one of the most mysterious, majestic, and intense prophetic writings in the Bible. Written by a priest turned prophet living in exile, it begins with stunning visions of God's glory and ends with a hopeful picture of restoration. Through symbols, actions, oracles, and breathtaking encounters, Ezekiel reveals a God who is not distant or silent, but present, holy, and determined to be known. This message captures the essence of that unfolding revelation. Seeing the unseen God, God revealed himself to Ezekiel in unearthly radiance. In Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 28, we read, "Like the appearance of a rainbow in the clouds on a rainy day, so was the radiance around him. When I saw it, I fell face down." Some have suggested that the prophet may have witnessed something like a UFO. There are certainly similarities: glowing lights, swift movements, and inhuman figures enveloped in fire. But one critical difference sets Ezekiel's vision apart. UFOs tend to appear in remote places and then vanish without a trace. The majestic being Ezekiel described didn't come to disappear. He came to be known. Ezekiel was certain that he had seen and heard the God of the Bible. While few have been privileged to see him as Ezekiel did, this same God had been speaking plainly for generations. His words were already recorded. Overwhelmed by the vision, Ezekiel, like the prophet Isaiah in chapter 6, felt completely undone. He repeatedly fell on his face, but God lifted him to his feet and gave him a message to proclaim. A stunning portrait of God. As Ezekiel described his calling, he struggled for words. He portrayed a God of overwhelming majesty, far beyond our world, yet inescapably near and real. This God demanded complete obedience. Surprisingly, he appeared to Ezekiel in Babylon, the last place an Israelite would expect. This God could not be confined by national or geographical boundaries. He ruled the entire earth. Throughout the book of Ezekiel, one phrase is repeated more than 60 times. "Then they will know that I am the Lord." God spoke these words in many different contexts. In chapters 1 through 24, he said it while warning of Jerusalem's destruction. In chapters 25 through 32, he said it while pronouncing judgment on Israel's neighbors. And in chapters 33 through 48, he said it once again, this time while promising a glorious future. God did not want to remain distant or vague. He wanted his people to know him. More than that, he wanted to live among them, to dwell at the very center of their lives. A strange book. The book of Ezekiel has a reputation for being strange. Its opening and closing visions are otherworldly, and Ezekiel often delivered God's messages through unusual actions. For example, in Ezekiel chapter 4, he lay on one side for hundreds of days, facing a model of Jerusalem, bound with ropes, symbolizing the siege of the city. Strange? Yes, but if a car is speeding toward a collapsed bridge, you might take desperate measures to get the driver's attention. You might shout, wave your arms, and do anything, even appear insane. That was Ezekiel's task. His message was meant to jolt people awake. Ezekiel lived during one of the darkest periods in Israel's history. For generations, the people had ignored prophetic warnings from voices like Micah, Amos, and Isaiah. Eventually, Babylon invaded Judah. Waves of captives were taken into exile. Ezekiel was among the first exiles along with Daniel. From Babylon, Ezekiel became God's spokesman. His voice joined that of Jeremiah, who remained in Jerusalem. Both prophets warned the people not to rebel against Babylon. They predicted heavier oppression and the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple. Judah had ignored God's repeated warnings. Now through suffering, God would get their attention. A New Jerusalem. Even in judgment, God's purpose remained unchanged, to make himself known. In Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 7, God told Ezekiel that the Israelites were unlikely to listen, even in captivity. They still preferred idols over the living God. Yet Ezekiel kept speaking. The visions kept coming. The dramatic actions continued. It was as though God were saying, somehow, someday, I will get through to them. If one method doesn't reach their hearts, I will try another. Ezekiel's book ends with a message of hope. The final chapters, beginning with chapter 40, reveal a vision of a new Jerusalem rising from the ruins of the old. This renewed city would never fall because it would be built upon one unshakable truth. Then they will know that I am the Lord. The burning vision of God that Ezekiel saw would become accessible to all. God would dwell there forever. The final verse of Ezekiel, chapter 48, verse 35, says it all. And the name of the city from that day on will be, The Lord is There.